Ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing this Saturday morning? We here, baby. We here. I'm your host, Dennis Holmes, the Ignorant Thinker Podcast himself. I am here with Sharon Mullen, the chocolate girl. Sharon? Oh.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday. What's up, Dennis?
Not much. How you doing, chocolate girl?
Chocolate girl is fine. Chocolate girl is fine. And chocolate girl is here. It's Saturday morning. You know, this is my favorite day of the week.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Listen, we got a special guest in the building all the way from Las Vegas, where they are lost
Vegas, baby.
in Vegas.
Vegas,
The
baby.
sports angle himself, Ian Rachiele, a.k.a. the sports angle, is in the house.
Yep, from the sports entertainment capital of the world, the sports betting capital of the world, whatever heck you want to call it, is the capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. That's right. But hey, Dennis, Sharon, thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
No doubt.
No problem. Well, what I want to ask both of y'all before we start, how was y'all week? That's what I want to ask both of y'all.
Well, my week was eventful. I'll say that. It was eventful. I did a whole lot this week. Did a lot working on my the relaunch of my business and so forth. So I did a lot of reading and research on tools and things like that. You know, all the unsexy stuff when you're doing your business. That's what I worked on a lot this week. So it was eventful. I got a lot of things done on my to-do list. I love when my to-do list gets checked off. I love it. That's exciting to me. So for my well-being, you know, last week we did our first health and wellness segment, Ian, and to get more bounce in my step, it was good to get through some of that to-do list because it was kind of like hanging over you, you know. So it was very freeing. How about you, Dan? How was your week?
Well, let's start with the sports angle. Sports angle, how was your week?
My week was really exciting. Getting to do a lot of media here. NBA Summer League was fantastic. Getting to see some of the best young talent in the NBA up close in person. Wow. Also, the NHL draft, the Vegas Golden Knights, they made their selections, free agency. Unfortunately, they had to trade one of their best players to shed cap space. But hey, you know what? You got to do what you got to do in hockey. So, but no, it's been pretty exciting. Just been working really hard, keeping my head up, and just sticking with it.
Okay, that's cool. That's good to hear. Sharon, you sound kind of low. You know what I mean? Just gonna let you know that. Now with the sports angle, hold on for a second. Now,
wait a minute, you didn't talk about your week.
Oh, well, my week was pretty good, honestly. I had a pretty good week. Got a couple things done. Got some work done as well. So I had a pretty good week. Pretty good. Now,
how's that sound?
Perfect.
Is that good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now sports angle. Now we got you on the show on the edition of the Writer's Block / Putting It on a Pod. Now, what made you start to become a writer is what I want to know. Sports writer. You're a sports writer out there. Let me get that.
Sports writer. That's correct.
Sports writer. So, I got to make sure I say that.
Really, it started when I was 14 years old. I mean, I was 14. I joined my journalism class in high school, and that really opened up my mind. I mean, getting to write articles for the school paper. Granted, looking back at them, they're absolutely terrible. I wouldn't recommend anybody reading them. But hey, at 14 years old, I thought they were the greatest articles of all time. But yeah, the Hawk side, HBN News, you know, that's where our school newspaper was, and that's what really kicked it off.
Okay. All right. Now where did you go to college at?
Nevada State College. It's kind of a community college, but you know what? I got my communications. I learned everything that I really needed to know, and you know, I got to give a lot of credit to the Scorpions out there in Nevada State College.
Okay. Now, your communication was major. I mean, your major was communication, right?
Communications, you have a minor in visual media.
Okay. Okay. Now, were you writing articles while you were also in college about sports teams as well?
Yes, so I was writing articles as well. I also was interning at a radio station at the same time, so I built myself on that end as well. But yeah, on the writing part of it, I was writing articles as well. Yes.
All right. So how old was you when you wrote your first?
Well, it depends. So the first one that I wrote that I was really starting to know my craft, I was about 19, 20, around there.
Okay. All right. That's pretty good. Do you remember what you were talking about or not really? That was too many articles away.
It feels like it's too many articles away at this point. But when it comes to my first real article, I was talking about MLB, talking about the possibility of them coming to Las Vegas because all these ideas of an MLB expansion team. So that was really my first article, talking about baseball coming to Las Vegas.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, the summer league was just passed by, and it comes to Vegas almost every year.
Indeed.
Now, with you being in the media and having a media pass, what were some of the things that goes on in the summer league in Las Vegas?
Well, really, when it comes to the NBA Summer League, there's really only two main objectives there. One is for the NBA executives, scouts, and the members of the NBA. You really get to see the rookies, second-year players, and heck, even veterans who are trying to earn a roster spot. You see them really trying to earn their opportunity in the NBA. So on that front, that's like the first objective. But if you're a media person, if you're someone who is there to write articles, do photography, do interviews, you're really there because you want to get an opportunity to interview someone who's going to become a superstar. The opportunity to interview someone who, last year was the rookie of the year, and hey, they're here in Las Vegas, I might as well go interview them. So from a media perspective, when you're at the NBA Summer League, while being professional, you really need to take advantage of the opportunity of, hey, there's all this good talent here. Try to interview them, try to meet with them, and see where you can go from there.
Now, did you get any interviews this summer league?
So this summer league, I got 3 or 4 interviews. Most of them were local guys, like local Las Vegas. Either they were from UNLV or they were from the G League, Ignite program, which I have up in Henderson here. So yeah, it probably wasn't any of the first round, high overall draft picks that they were in the draft, but they were local UNLV guys.
Okay. All right. Now, because I see you've done a lot of interviews in your time, and I've been knowing you for almost 2 years. But out of the interviews that you have done, what are a couple of, would you say were your favorite interviews so far?
I would say my favorite interview is I was up in Reno, Nevada, and they were doing a AAA All-Star game, and I got to interview John Smoltz. I mean, MLB Hall of Famer, part of the Atlanta Braves organization, and the fact that you got to meet this guy who was a absolute legend and one of the best to ever do it. I would say that's probably my personal favorite. I also got to interview like WNBA All-Star Adrian Goodson. There's all these people that I've gotten to interview during my career, and I'm thankful for it because these are people who are one of the best in their craft, and they're letting me interview them about what they do.
Okay. And what would you say is some of the best articles that you wrote?
I think one of the best articles I really ever wrote was actually a personal piece. There was this racer here in Las Vegas. He was really trying to get his career started. He was on the up and up. And I wrote an article about the fact that he's dominating the local short track scene and the fact that he has won, I think, 8 or 9 races in a row here in Las Vegas. And the reason why I actually think that was one of my best is because of how much detail I put into it. It was about 1,400 words, but it was pretty much a lot of respect to the fact that this guy's been putting it in for about 8 or 9 years, just trying to make a living.
Okay, now you've been in Vegas the whole time you have started your writing and podcasting career. Now, in the time that you've been in Vegas, what would you say were some of your best times interning through those times?
I would say probably one of the best times was getting to go to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2018. I mean, you had the Vegas Golden Knights, expansion NHL team, and the Washington Capitals with one of the best hockey players of all time, and Alex Ovechkin. So I would say that's probably one of my favorable moments, is that when it comes to doing the interning and all that. But more importantly, really getting to learn the process of how everything breaks down at a radio station, how everything breaks down when it comes to writing and submitting articles. I would say that's also something I enjoy doing. Because, yeah, you can write and you can do all of that, but if you understand the behind the scenes part of it, and if you can understand everything that goes into how, newspapers get made, if you understand the process of how articles, and how websites really get built, really helps you out long term. So that was exciting to me as well.
And that's what you learned. You learned you learned the backstory of all that at what job was that again?
So I really actually learned that from PR Connections Radio, which is actually the thing I'm doing right now. The sports angle on PR Connections Radio, we're doing public relations, we do marketing and media. So I really get to learn really the behind the scenes of it and really see how you can help businesses and how you can promote them.
Okay. Now, what was the name of the company you was working for before that?
So, I mean, I've been doing KSHP 1400 AM. I did that for a while. KIOF 97.9, but that was on the radio end. When it came to writing articles, I did it for Vegas Sports Hub. I've also done it for a few other companies, or like as a one-off, but I mainly did it for Vegas Sports Hub.
Okay. Now with Vegas, they got their football team. They got their hockey team. Do you believe that a basketball and a baseball team is coming?
I absolutely do. And I can't talk about everything I know, obviously, but I will say this from what I already know prior. Not only am I 100% not only am I 100% confident that a baseball team will come here, to me, it is a sooner than later that a baseball team's coming to Las Vegas. Regardless if it's the Oakland Athletics moving from Oakland, screwing over Oakland once again, and moving to Las Vegas, or if they get an expansion team because MLB wants to add 2 new teams, I am 1,000% confident that you will get a Las Vegas baseball team. And with the NBA, with the popularity of the Summer League and the fact that the NBA has made a lot of money off sports books, once again, Las Vegas, I will say that regardless if it's LeBron James who owns the team or if it's another billionaire who comes in and owns the team, I'm pretty confident. I think Las Vegas will get an NBA team in the next 5 years.
Okay. Somebody said they wanted to ask you, do you feel that Vegas controls the outcome of the sports games?
Let's just say if Vegas wasn't involved, there would be certain fouls that wouldn't be called in the end of games. I'll put it to you that way.
Okay.
So yes.
How do you like the sports books in Vegas? Because I know there's a lot of
state of the art.
Right.
I mean, when you go into a sports book, when you go into that, racing casino, they put out everything they can to make sure you feel at ease. I mean, hey, when they're going to take your money, at least they want to wine and dine you while they take your money. So when it comes to the sports book, they go all out for you. If you want to get some drinks, you want to, talk to people, they absolutely do that for you. But when it comes to, for example, the casinos, like downtown casinos, I will say that their sports books are some of the best I've ever seen in my life. And they definitely know how to put on a show.
So if you was to pick 3, somebody told you, hey man, what's the 3 best sports books to go to? If you was to pick 3 of them, what 3 would you pick?
I'm going to say Caesars, I'll say MGM, really bet MGM. And then, you know what? I'll do Mirage as well. So mainly in that strip area. Yeah.
Okay. Definitely hear that. All right. I have one more question for you, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Sharon. Now, you said you started at 14. You are, wait a minute, how old are you now?
I'm 24. So yeah.
24. So it's been about 10 years in the game, I'm gonna say.
Younger.
Yeah, 10 years in the game.
10 years, 50 more to go, hopefully.
Okay. So where is it that you want to go with the sports angle?
What I want to do is either build up a big enough following so I can eventually get sponsors. I can eventually get enough people to back me, so I can have this be legit. So I can actually build up the studio, so it can be state of the art studio. But then also my long-term goal is, ever since I was 14 years old, ever since I picked up a microphone for the first time, I've always wanted to be an announcer. I've wanted to be an analyst. And what those guys do, well, they're on CBS, they're on Fox, they're on, insert your favorite network here. So really that would be my long-term goal, is to use the sports angle as a launching pad to become, hey, you're analyst on NBC Sports, or hey, be an announcer for the Las Vegas Golden Knights or something like that. So.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna let the chocolate girl go ahead and take over. Chocolate girl.
So did I hear this right? But there was some time that you spent some time in Philadelphia, did you?
So I've been there once or twice. Philadelphia, I will say the Philadelphia Phillies, I had a great time there. I will say that. Actually, Philadelphia Phillies, I support them in a roundabout way. But yeah, Philadelphia once or twice.
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about your travels, because you talk a lot about Las Vegas. You love Las Vegas, and you
Absolutely.
and I, we have our back and forth about Las Vegas. So, what next to Las Vegas, where's the best place you've been to, or a city that you find to be a great city besides Las Vegas?
Well, when it comes to Las Vegas, I obviously have a huge attachment to it, but I also like LA. When it comes to Los Angeles, I will say I've always had a fun time there. Going to Dodger Stadium, going to the now Crypto.com Arena. Used to be Staples Center, which was a way better name, but I digress. Now it's Crypto Arena. So when it comes to Los Angeles, I always have liked going down there. I've always had a fun time in LA, so I would probably say they're second place.
Yeah, that crypto. I'm not feeling that crypto. Yeah. But it's when it was Staples Center. I'm gonna be honest with you. In the beginning, I wasn't equating that with Staples, the huge office supply place. I really wasn't. It was just Staples. I didn't even think about it really. But
I should have gone back to the Forum anyway.
Well, the Forum. I don't know. They should have kept it the Forum. That's what I thought. But what do I know? But I was just curious, because I know how much you think of Vegas, and you say it's the entertainment sports capital of the world and all this, whatever. And I'm like, me, I'm just like, whatever. But there's a lot to do.
I'll say this, like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, like I'm a big city type of guy. I mean, like nothing against, the smaller cities, but I like going to bigger cities and seeing what y'all have. So
there's more to do. It's more to do. And it has like larger cities have like a heartbeat that you don't find in smaller cities. It's hard to explain unless you're there. It's a vibe, and it's a heartbeat. That's my best way of putting it. But anyway, so in Vegas, so right now you're doing the sports angle with PR Connections Radio, right? Who is PR Connections Radio, and how did they get started? Do you know?
So PR Connections Radio was founded by a guy named Guy Dawson. And pretty much what PR Connections Radio has been for the last 3 years is it is a multimedia company where we try to help you with public relations, where we're trying to help you, you know, if you have a show or if you have an idea and you really want to bring it in and make it a reality, well, then you come to Guy, you come to me, you come to the people who work for PR Connections Radio, and we really try to help you see if your idea can become reality. That's really what it is.
Now, is it made up of people who have been in the media game for a while, or is this an upstart of young and upcoming people in the industry?
It's a combination of both. Guys like Guy Dawson and Brian Gardner, who's also a PR Connections Radio. I mean, they've been there for decades. They've been doing it for a long time. And then you've got people, for example, who are just starting out. They've never even been in a microphone before, but they want to see what they can do.
Okay. Now, is everybody based out of Las Vegas, or this for people from around the country?
It is mostly based in Las Vegas. We have one person who's out in Toronto. I believe that's Sandra, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Sandra, I know she's out there in Toronto, but mostly everybody else who's on the network is here in Las Vegas.
Now, with the sports angle, before you got with PR Connections Radio, you were doing it independently. Am I right?
So for about a year and a half, I was doing it independently, but I also did the sports angle on 1400 AM. I did it on 97.9 here in Vegas.
Okay. So, and how long have you been doing the sports angle show, the podcast show?
Been doing the sports angle for 3 years now.
3 years. Okay. How has it changed from when you started? Besides your skills are getting sharpened, but how has it changed doing the podcast? Are you doing things differently now than you did 3 years ago? And is it based upon the change in sports overall, or is it just a natural progression of things?
Well, it's mainly changed just because of the way I do it. When I first started in 2019, you had to go into the studio and you actually had to go to a radio station to record it. And then when the whole pandemic happened in 2020, we were all forced to do it online, you know, do it at your house. So that was really one of the biggest changes right there. Also doing a lot of remote broadcasts, going to restaurants or going to downtown Summerlin, for example, here in Las Vegas and doing shows remotely there. So it's a huge difference from being in a radio station and being inside this huge studio to being in your room, which is half of your room being a studio and the other half just being a bed and a TV. So
okay. So you're not broadcasting from the bed, but you're just in the same room with the bed.
Oh no, like trust me, if I turn my camera around, it literally is like half of my room is my studio and the other half is just disaster.
Got you. So how do you keep your ideas fresh on your podcast? How do you come up with what to talk about?
Well, what I normally do is about 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, I go to a coffee shop and I put down my notepad or I open up my laptop and I really just start brainstorming. When I say that I have a Microsoft Word document with about 100 ideas on it, and I just pluck ideas off of it, and I just do it for the show. Because a lot of my show is monologues. In fact, I'm pretty confident that that's actually my best thing I know how to do is monologuing, you know, doing a 20-minute, 30-minute segment, talking about a certain team or a certain subject. But that mainly comes to brainstorming 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning.
Okay. And do you have guests on your show?
I do. About once or twice a month, I try to bring on someone who I know is very confident, someone who knows what they're talking about. You know, I've brought on Dennis Holmes in the past. I've brought you on in the past. Because, you know, you both know what you're talking about. You're very knowledgeable. But, you know, I also try to bring on athletes as well. I've brought on Super Bowl champions. I've brought on World Series champions in the past. So, yeah, I've done some pretty cool things.
Now let's talk about a little bit about this media pass thing. When you get your media pass, what does that entitle you to do? Because I think some people have an idea of Media Pass gets you access to anybody and everything, and it's whatever. It comes with a lot of perks, I'm sure. But what is it and what is it not when you have a Media Pass?
Well, when it comes to media, well, first off, it depends on what network you're with. I mean, if you're on a
Right.
big network, you're gonna
Mhm.
get a lot more access than if you're just on a local scene. But in my
Mhm.
experience, when it comes to media with baseball and basketball mainly, well, first off, you get to park in media parking, which is one of the best things ever, because instead of parking all the way over here, you can park closer to the stadium, which is fantastic.
Awesome.
But also, you go over to the will call, you give them your name, they give you your credentials and everything like that. They also normally give you a little pamphlet, or they give you something saying, hey, this is you, here's all the information you need. So they kind of give you an idea of what it's going to be like. Depending on what stadium it is, they also have like a media entry that you go to. So instead of going the normal route that everyone else has to do, you go to the back way, or you go to another. That's where the media entry is.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to interviewing people, a lot of that is during what they call interviewing time, where players will come down and they actually will come to you instead of you coming to them. So that's actually a huge difference, because like if you don't have a media pass, you have to wait to like try to catch them in order to talk to them. Whereas with media, you just go to this room and you just wait for them to come to you.
Cool. Now, what about other perks? Do you get like food or drinks? You got women? Do you get women? Do they bring women in to entertain you up there in the skybox? I mean, what does any of that happen? I'm just asking. I've heard things.
When it comes to food, absolutely. When it comes to the places I've been to, they'll have a lot of food. They got catering and stuff like that, especially for baseball. The Las Vegas Aviators here at Las Vegas Ballpark, they got a full meal for you when you go there to the media credentials. NBA Summer League was kind of the same way. They got a good amount of food for you to eat and make sure you're well drank. I know with the Raiders and the Golden Knights, because they are a professional sports team, I know that if you have certain networks and stuff like that, I know they treat you to a good meal as well. So, and when it comes to women, I think that really depends on what kind of media and that kind of thing. I know if you're up in the box suites and you're up in that area, I know that there's a good amount of women that are in that section. But if you're just doing normal media, there aren't really women in the press box. It's a lot of people that are just doing work. So
I've just heard some stories. I guess it depends on if there's any female media people in there or not. But I've just heard some stories. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm just going to do that right there.
There needs to be more, though. There definitely needs to be more.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, speaking of needing to be more, I'm going to ask you a question about some advice you can give to some up and coming writers, but a shout out to Triple Play Media and Playmakers Radio, because I'll be writing with both of those outlets. And so I'm starting to get my feet wet in what you're doing already. So what words of wisdom do you have for up and coming writers and sports writers like myself and others who are trying to break into the field?
So really two pieces of advice that I would give to anyone who is trying to get into writing, or someone who's just starting with writing. First is consistency. Try to write articles. It don't matter if it's once a week or if it's twice a week. I wrote articles, I think 3 or 4 times a month when I first started, because the more you write, the better you're going to be, because you're going to learn about certain things. You're going to pick up on certain cues. And when you're doing interviews, my second thing I'd pick up on is if you're talking to an athlete, try to make it as short and as precise as possible. I mean, think about it. These are athletes. They're going to be talking to 50 more people just like you. So if you have 1 or 2 questions, make it count, ask them real quick, and then, move on to the next person. Because that's really a way you can build yourself as a professional person. Because I'm going to be honest with you, Sharon, a lot of the amateur people, they ramble, or like they'll ask questions, but they'll try to ask like 500 questions, and the athlete's just sitting there like, okay, come on, let's go. So,
Right.
just ask your 2 questions. Try to make them as like something they haven't heard before, which I've heard a lot of athletes say, like, hey, we answer the same 5 questions over and over again.
Got
So,
you.
yeah,
Those last 2 tips, those are really great tips. I'm gonna make a note of those, because one of the first assignments that I'm going to get is actually being in a room where we're interviewing WNBA players post game.
okay.
And you have to, when they call on you, you have to fire out your question, and you have to do it right away. You have to be clear and concise and quick about it. And you only get to ask up to 2 questions. That's it. You get 1 and 1 follow-up. That's it. And you want to make it count, right? But when you're new, you're nervous. First of all, sometimes you can be starstruck because, oh my God, that's Candace Parker. What am I going to say to her? I wanted to meet her my whole life. You don't know what to say. And so then you got to get over that and get it together. I can imagine. I haven't done this yet. So the first time I do it, I'm going to have to drink some liquor beforehand or something, because I'm going to have to relax because I can see me being that one. How do you ring that in? How do you rail that in and keep from doing that?
Well, how I do is I just try to treat him like a normal person, because you have to realize is that when it comes to fans, and hey, they love the fans, don't get me wrong, but there's a certain way that they treat them. They treat them kind of like a godlike status. So if you treat them as a normal person, if you are a professional, hey, I'm Ian Rachiele from Sports Angle and PR Connections Radio. So here's my one question to you when it comes to tonight's game. I saw that you were handling the transitions and the way the flow of the game. Tell me about that. Like the way that you treat them very professionally, they're going to remember that, because out of everyone they've interviewed, they're probably going to remember the people who are professional and just treat them like a normal human being.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to get myself there before I even go into the room, because I could see me being that one, like, oh my God, it's you. And I don't want to be like that, like a kid. I don't want to be like that. I'm too old for that. But anyway, just wondering if you had any more tips about that, because it's going to be a great time, I'm sure, but I'm really kind of nervous. So I haven't started yet, because I'm still nervous about it.
I got one more piece of advice if you want to hear it.
Sure. Yeah, of course. It's you, Ian. Of course I want to hear it. Of course.
All right. So when you get to the arena, if you get to the stadium, if you get there early, or if you get there, maybe an hour and a half before the thing actually starts, try to introduce yourself or try to mingle with everybody who's at the facility. Because it doesn't matter if it's half a minute, or even 2 minutes of their time. If you're very professional, you give them a handshake, or if you say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm here for the event, tell me about what's going on, that kind of thing. People are going to remember you, because the more people that you interact and the more people you talk to, especially in the media center, if you start interacting with people and you're very professional with them, they're going to remember that. And hey, they might even refer you to somebody, say like, hey, you know what? Hey, this guy over here, he definitely knows who that guy is. Go talk to him. Okay, great. Perfect. Fantastic. So that's what I recommend, is to talk to as many people as possible.
And when you say people, you mean like people that work in the arena, or people who are part of the staff there?
Arena, people in the media center. Because all those people are there for a reason. So if you talk to them and
right,
them, it goes a long way.
Mix and mingle.
Yeah.
Show your face, so they can say your name, so they can start to put your name and face together, name recognition and so forth. Got it. Okay. That's good advice. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to ask this question. There's a question. You have a question from the audience. Isn't that exciting?
Hey, the audience, absolutely.
We're going back to the media pass whole thing. Joshua Bailey wanted to know, do you get to bring a guest with you when you have a media pass? Can you bring anyone with you? Or is it just for you?
It depends on the venue. There's some places that are very relaxed with it. Like if you go to a minor league event or if you go to something that isn't as professional, they will most likely let you bring a guest. But whenever I've gone to an NHL event, anytime I've gone to like a professional sports team, that media pass is mainly for you and you only. So unless when you're doing your media credential or if you're like requesting it weeks in advance, by the way, if you request a guest pass and they give it to you, then that's their green light for you. But when you get your thing in the mail and it's just your media pass, or when you go to will call and it's just your name that's on it, then no, that's just you.
It's just you. So you can't just say, hey, can I let my friend in with me? That's not happening. None of that.
But hey,
Yeah.
Joshua Bailey, man, hey, thanks for watching the show. Stay tuned.
That's right. Stay tuned in the house. So let me see. I know Dennis asked the question earlier, like, where do you want to go with the sports angle? And you said that you wanted to use it as a launching pad. But I want to talk about some numbers, like some years numbers, like numbers and years. So in terms of 5 years from now and then 10 years from now, where do you hope to be on those milestones?
So in 5 years, my goal is to be doing two things. One, to be doing an everyday show here in the radio, here in Las Vegas. It doesn't matter if I go back to 1400, 97.9, or if I go someplace else like 91.5, for example. Doing a show every single day will show that, you know, I've been here and I know my craft. So on the radio end, that would be my goal. And then being an announcer, you know, being a PA announcer, that's probably how you get your start. Majority of them do. But being a PA announcer for a professional sports team, that's really going to be part of my plan as well. So 5 years, that would be my goal. And then 10 years from now, being an analyst for a major network, that's going to be my long-term goal. Because, Adrian Wojnarowski, all those people who are analysts for all these major networks, well, let's remember, they've had to put in 15, 20, 25 years to get into that position where, hey, Adam Schefter tweeted something. You go, wait, Adam Schefter? Okay, I know that's legit. Or, hey, Woj put out something, then I know it's credible. So I'm just saying 10 years being an analyst for any of the major 4 networks, you know who they are. I would say that's probably my long-term goal.
Cool. That's very interesting. It's good to have goals. Are you a vision person? Are you visual? Do you write your goals down and meditate on them, or you just have them up here? How do you approach it?
I have them up here because when it comes to writing things down, first off, I lose papers all the time. So if I write something down, it's just going to be lost in about 2 seconds anyway. But when it comes to the visual part of it, besides the fact I have a photogenic memory, I mean, I remember everything. But when it comes to writing things down, it's nice, but the more I have it up here, the harder I work for it.
Got it. That's a good, interesting concept. The more I have it up here, the harder you work for it. And I know visual people, I'm a visual person. We're just the opposite. If I'm putting it up here, if I'm writing it down, that's the thing. You know, I can think it up here, I can feel it here, but when I put it on paper, buddy, you guys can't see this, but I have a huge piece of paper up and I have goals on it. And as I do each of these things, it gets checked off on this huge piece of paper because it's a sense of accomplishment. Whatever works, you know. Yep, just cut it off, mark it off. So that's what works for me. Usually when I do these interviews, I like to end my interviews with what I call the 5-star shout out. Have you seen that before? I know you've watched us a lot.
I watch all these shows. Come on, shoot.
But yeah, my 5-star shout out is when I give you 5 rapid fire questions and you just answer them. The first thing that comes to your mind. I'm not giving you a whole lot of time. So just get it on out. We just gonna keep it moving. Okay. So Dennis, I hope you listening because I'll be turning this back over to you when I get finished. But so you ready?
Yep, ready, set, go.
All right. So one, if you had to choose to work there, even ESPN or FS1.
FS1.
Oh God. Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Who's the greatest basketball player of all time? And who is the greatest NBA player of all time?
Greatest basketball player, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Greatest NBA player, Michael Jordan.
I love you, Ian. I just love you. Number 4, what state would you consider the football capital of the United States?
Unfortunately, Texas.
And this is my favorite question of all time, do you watch the WNBA?
Absolutely. I went to a game recently.
That's it. That's the shout out. Thank you for playing. I love you. I knew I loved you before. I really love you now. Back to you, Dennis.
That's good. That's good. Ian, now I want to know, what are your favorite teams? You know, NBA, NFL, baseball too.
You know what?
And hockey.
I thought it was too early to start drinking, but okay. So talking about my favorite teams now. All right, MLB. My favorite team is the Chicago Cubs. 20 games below 500, but hey, what can you do? NBA. I'm a fan of the little brother in LA Clippers. Hopefully they move to the Forum, because that'll be a little bit of pettiness. The NFL. Chicago Bears. The team is going to win 4 games all year. And the NHL, I'm a fan of the Vegas Golden Knights. So there you go.
Now, how did the Chicago love you have? How did you become a Chicago fan?
Mainly started with my family. My grandfather, he was a Chicago Bears fan.
Okay.
Chicago Cubs, I followed right down the line. I will say I was a Chicago Bears fan for about a day, but then I don't really like red, so I just tossed it and threw it straight out. So when it comes to the Chicago Bulls, I was there for a minute, but no, Clippers.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to know what made you become fans of those teams, because I really didn't.
Well, I didn't do it for winning, of course. Obviously, I didn't pick them because I wanted to win. So.
Which one has won more recently? Was it the Golden Knights?
Well, I mean, Golden Knights reached the Stanley Cup, but hey, they didn't bring home the prom queen. I mean, when it comes to Stanley Cup finals, I mean, there's a difference between going to prom and actually getting the prom queen. Well, Washington Capitals did that. It wasn't the Vegas Golden Knights. So I'd say Chicago Cubs, 2016. That was
2016. Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right.
But I will say that it was cool. Didn't the Golden Knights do that in their first season as a franchise? So I thought that was awesome to go all the way to the Stanley Cup in their first season of existence. Was still amazing.
It was. Yeah.
That's good. That's definitely good to hear. Now, would you like to let the crowd know exactly where they can reach you at and how to see your show and what days you air on?
So you can find me on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio, the voice of new media, every Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Go to prconnectionsradio.com to find out all the information about every show that's on there. Also follow me on social media at Ian Rachiele18 and follow the show on all social medias at Sports Angle on PR.
All right. Well, Ian, I'd like to thank you for coming out, man. I know you was telling me your time was going to be short, but I think we did a great job with that. And for everybody that's watching, I'd like to thank y'all for watching as well. Sharon, Chocolate Girl, do you have any last words?
Yes, my final thoughts are this. If you have a dream, hold on to your dreams, go for your dreams, and don't let anybody keep you from attaining your dreams. People will come all at you left and right. You'll be bobbing and weaving, but you got to keep moving forward. Don't let anybody keep you back. Don't let anybody silence your voice. Don't let anybody ignore you. You make your presence known, do your thing. That's what I like about Ian. He does his own thing. He's his own he doesn't try to be like anybody else. He just does it the way he's going to do it. And that's what I recommend that people do. Be your authentic self and don't let anybody keep you from your goal. That's it.
All right. Well, again, thank y'all for coming out this morning. God bless. Great day.